Welcome to the Wellness Connection with Dr. McMinn. Dr. McMinn is Birmingham's wellness doctor, practicing cutting-edge, world-class wellness medicine at McMinn Clinic in Homewood, Alabama. Each week, Dr. McMinn interviews experts in the field of integrative wellness medicine. The Wellness Connection brings you the information you need to optimize your health in mind, body, and spirit. And now, here's Dr. McMinn.
Good morning and welcome once again to the Wellness Connection with Dr. James McMinn, and I'm here as usual with our moderator, Misty Walraven. Good morning, Misty.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing just fine.
All right. Well, Misty and I come to you every Saturday morning to bring you access to the experts in the field of integrative medicine. Misty, tell us who we have as our guest today.
Today we have Dr. Jenny Goodson. She is a chiropractor. She has a practice here in town. It's on the second floor of the Greystone Cosmetic Center, actually out in Inverness.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm really excited to talk to Dr. Goodson about chiropractic medicine and nutrition. She's quite a nutritionist as well. So those are two subjects I firmly believe in, and so we're excited to have Dr. Goodson on the show today. But before we get started, let me tell you just a little bit about myself. I have an integrative medical practice in Homewood, Alabama called McMinn Clinic, where we practice world-class integrative medicine. I am a residency-trained and board-certified MD physician. I'm also currently an assistant professor at the UAB School of Medicine. And let me introduce our guest. Good morning, Dr. Goodson.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. We're very excited to have you. May I call you Jenny?
Yes, you may.
Is that all right? Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Jenny, once again, I'm really excited to have you on the show because I really believe in what you do. As an integrated medical provider, I'm really trying to reach out and build bridges. To me, it's all about the patient,
That's
that
right.
one patient in front of you. And I feel sometimes we have too many turf battles in the medical field. You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes MDs and chiropractors and nutritionists don't get along. But to me, you know, I think we should expand our horizons and use any tool in the toolbox we can. And there's so many patients who respond well to chiropractic medicine. So I definitely am quick to refer to you and your colleagues.
Thank you. Thank
Wonderful.
you very much.
And you also have a huge interest in nutritional medicine, which
That's
of
right.
course we're like-minded there as too. That's one of the cornerstones of my practice as well. So before we get going with some questions, Jenny, tell me more about yourself and your training and your practice.
All right. Well, I guess I will try to make a long story short and start from the beginning. But I got my undergrad degree in biomedical science at Auburn University, and at the time thought I would go on to medical school, but somewhere along the lines I had a change of heart, and I wasn't ever really sure why. Later on, I became a pharmaceutical representative.
We'll cut that closer to the mic.
Later on, I became a pharmaceutical representative, and as a pharmaceutical rep, I thought that would be a really exciting industry to be in. But what I thought was once exciting became very depressing after just a couple of years. I sat in doctors' offices all day long and saw people not getting better, and I just thought there had to be a better way. So later on, I went on to chiropractic school, and here I am. I've been out for about 3 years practicing in Birmingham, and love it. It's awesome
Great,
to see
great.
people get better.
It is. You came from the dark side.
I did.
Pharmaceutical.
I did.
Well, good.
The evil empire is what I like to call
welcome
it.
to enlightenment. You know, sometimes I kind of kid about that. I've
Yes.
been enlightened.
Saw the light.
But there's some truth to that. I think sometimes when you've gone down a certain path for years and years and years, like for instance with medical school and residency and all that kind of stuff, it's really hard to see the light. And I think it does take some real energy and effort, some inspirations along the right way. And so congratulations for being enlightened.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And so, someone said chiropractic, and you went to Life Chiropractic College in Atlanta,
I
right?
did.
And how did
In
you get so
Atlanta.
much into nutrition?
Honestly, it's really a personal story. I was a very sick person from the time I was 14, in and out of doctor's offices. No one really ever knew what was wrong with me. I was miserable all the time and a lot of pain.
Sounds like my typical patient.
Yes, and mine.
Yes.
In my early 20s, I was on 4 prescription drugs, including antidepressants
Oh my
and
gosh.
hormones.
Yes.
Had a lot of female issues along with a lot of pain. I was going to a chiropractor at the time and I was getting better, but I wasn't getting that full, relief. So I ended up running into a physical therapist. She gave me a book called The Yeast Connection. I don't know if you've read that.
Billy Crook, I know
Yeah,
the book quite
it's-
well. Yes.
It was my
Yes.
first nutrition book ever, and
Yes.
I was sold
Yeah.
from day one. I
Yes.
sat in my car in a parking lot waiting to go and make a sales call as a pharmaceutical rep and read the entire book.
No.
And
You must be a faster reader than I am. Yeah.
from that moment on, I decided whatever
Yes.
I did, it would involve nutrition.
Right. In fact, one of these days I'd like to do a show on yeast. I think it's a very interesting subject, and we see a lot of it in
Absolutely.
our practice. this. And
Because everybody eats sugar.
well, that's right. It's a product of our environment. But it's interesting. I've been in academic medicine for many, many years, and in the ivory halls of academic medicine, they never ever talk about yeast.
No.
And so I've had so many patients. I think I learned more from my patients than they learn from me. But
Yeah.
I've heard so many of them say, "Doctor, I never got better until they treated the yeast."
That's right.
And so it's something that it's definitely on my radar screen. Now I will tell you, I don't look at the world through yeast glasses.
That's right.
I
It's
think
easy
that-
to do that
I
sometimes.
think there's some providers that everybody who comes
Yeah.
in, they think they have yeast. And,
or whatever else
yeah,
they heard
right.
at the seminar that
Right,
weekend.
exactly. And so I think that's a temptation we all
Yes.
have to try to avoid, is to look at the world through our certain set of glasses. But having said that, I think it's often overlooked and undertreated, and so we do get after it. And it's sort of a multimodal thing that you have to do, of course, the whole nutrition and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
But I'm yakking too much. We want to give Dr. Goodson a word in edgewise here. So, Misty, what kind of questions do we have today?
Well, people often associate chiropractic with back problems. What are some of the other indications for visiting your favorite chiropractor?
Wow, I'm probably going to shock a lot of people because most people do think of it as neck and back pain and often headaches as well. The majority of my patients actually a lot of times have what's called autonomic issues. I see a lot of people for infertility. I see children for chronic ear infections. I just saw a brand new baby the other day that's throwing up every 15 minutes and no one understands why. All across the board I see them.
It seems like, and maybe they just come to my doorstep, but it seems like there's more and more dysautonomia,
That's right.
autoimmune. It's just an epidemic, seems like.
It really
and once
is.
again, I think a product of our toxic environments,
Absolutely.
the food we eat, and stress, and all those awful things. What are some of the real fundamental principles of chiropractic medicine?
The real fundamental principles I really can kind of condense down to 3 principles, and that is, 1, we believe the body was always intended to be self-healing. If you cut your finger, it heals. You don't consciously think about the healing process, it just takes place and happens. 2 is that the body is self-regulating. There's all these autonomic functions we just talked about going on all day long internally that we don't even think about. Your heart beating, making new blood cells, immune functions, all of those types of things. They're self-regulating. And 3, the big premise in chiropractic is that the nervous system controls the self-healing and the self-regulating abilities of the body. So if you don't have proper nervous system function, then you can't have true health. And the nervous system, for a lot of the people in the audience probably have not heard that term, is your brain and your spinal cord and all the nerves in your body, and that's what connects your whole body together.
Well, that is fascinating. I've studied some Chinese Oriental medicine as well, and they feel that that we are not just a collection of organs and parts,
That's right.
but in fact that the nervous system is kind of the master control system
That's
of it all.
right.
And it's really an expanded view of the nervous system, because the nervous system, you talked about the brain and spinal cord nerves, that actually also integrates with, the nervous system controls your hormones through the hypothalamus, pituitary, it controls your immune system, and so all of that is really part of the nervous system. So yeah, it's the master control system, so I agree with you. Well, that's fascinating. So Misty, what other kind of questions we have?
Jenny, in your experience, what are some of the ailments that chiropractic has worked best for?
The ones that stick out in my head, of course, usually are associated with the phase of life that I'm in myself personally. And as a new mom, I have a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old. I really sympathize with women who are unable to have children.
Sure.
I see a great deal of infertility in my practice. One of my greatest cases was a lady who was 38 years old a year ago and had done everything, including in vitro, and within a month of restoring nutritional health in her body and getting her adjusted and restoring her nervous system function, she was pregnant, and she delivered the baby this spring, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I
yeah,
just adjusted the baby
yeah.
this week,
Oh,
as a matter of fact.
fabulous. Yeah. We also see some of that in our practice, because I think hormones are a big part of that, especially thyroid.
Absolutely.
And also we do the acupuncture for that, and have had really
Acupuncture is great
good success
for
with that
fertility.
in,
That's right.
in some women who have been unable to conceive, even with IVF. We've done some acupuncture and good relief with that, so that's pretty cool. And it's so gratifying when they come back and show us the baby.
It's
and,
awesome.
And it really
It
is
really
a
is.
great feeling. Yes, for sure.
A lot of us take for granted having
Yes.
children and don't realize
Absolutely.
how much
Absolutely. Yes.
many people struggle
Yeah.
to do that.
Big deal. All right, let's see, what else you got?
So Jenny, tell us about a typical adjustment session.
A typical adjustment session is actually only a couple minutes long. It involves visually inspecting the spine to see if there's any changes in the spine, hyperactive muscles on one side or the other. and then also using my hands to scan the spine and feel for areas where the spine is not moving properly. Motion